Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine and the ghost of a nation. Good morning, afternoon, evening everyone. Let me take you on a journey into the heart of Colombia, into the streets of Medellin, and into the life of a man who came to symbolize power, fear, and contradiction, Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. To some, he was a hero. To others, a monster. But no one could ignore him. The rise from nothing. Pablo Escobar was not born into power. He was born in 1949, in a small town in Colombia, the son of a schoolteacher and a farmer. He was not a prince. He did not inherit an empire. But he built one, not with laws, not with votes, but with bullets, with bribes, with blood. As a young man, he started small, stealing tombstones to resell them, smuggling contraband cigarettes. But soon, he discovered a substance that would change the world: cocaine. Pure, addictive, profitable. By the 1980s, Pablo Escobar controlled up to 80% of the global cocaine trade. His cartel, the Medellin cartel, was raking in millions of dollars per day. His wealth was so vast, he reportedly spent $2,500 a month on rubber bands just to hold his stacks of cash. Let that sink in, not on food, not on security, but on rubber bands. A kingdom of chaos. At the height of his power, Escobar had a private zoo, a personal army, and even offered to pay off Colombia's national debt in exchange for immunity. He owned hundreds of properties, private airstrips, and a fleet of airplanes. He smuggled cocaine in everything from tires to dead bodies. He bought politicians. He bought police. He even got himself elected to Congress in 1982. But make no mistake, his empire was built not just on drugs, but on terror. Escobar had a philosophy: simple, effective, and deadly: plata o plomo. Silver or lead, take the bribe, or take the bullet. Judges were killed, journalists disappeared, presidential candidates were assassinated in broad daylight. Entire cities lived in fear. Medellin became known as the murder capital of the world. The people's criminal. And yet, to the poor, he was a saint. He built housing for the homeless, soccer fields for children, and clinics in the slums. To people abandoned by the state, Escobar was the only one who cared. They called him El Patron, the boss. They prayed for him. They protected him. This duality, this contradiction, is what makes Escobar's legacy so haunting. How could a man who murdered so many also feed the hungry? How could a criminal become a folk hero? The fall of a giant. By the early 1990s, the world could no longer ignore the chaos. The US and Colombian governments joined forces to bring him down. It became one of the most intense manhunts in history. Elite squads, satellite surveillance, wiretaps, and informants, all hunting one man. In 1991, Escobar made a deal: he would surrender, in exchange for being housed in his own luxury prison, La Catedral. It had a casino, a bar, and a waterfall. But when it became clear he was still running his cartel from behind its walls, the government tried to move him. He escaped. For over a year, he was a ghost, hidden, protected, and still dangerous. Then, on December 2, 1993, on a rooftop in Medellin, the chase ended. Pablo Escobar, the man who had ruled a nation through fear and money, was shot and killed. He died with a gun in his hand and a phone to his ear, trying to reach his family one last time. The legacy that haunts us still. But here is the tragedy. Escobar is gone, but his shadow remains. His life was not just a story of drugs and violence. It was a story about what happens when a government fails its people, when poverty breeds desperation, and when greed infects a nation. Today, people still visit his grave. His face appears on T-shirts, shows, and documentaries. He is studied, analyzed, romanticized. But let us not be fooled. Pablo Escobar was not a hero. He was not a revolutionary. He was a man who brought a country to its knees, even as he held it up with the other hand. So why do we still speak his name? Because the world he built, and the chaos he left behind, reminds us of what happens when power is unchecked, when crime becomes a system, and when we allow desperation to become destiny. Escobar is dead, but the questions he raised, about justice, corruption, and the cost of indifference, still live on. Thank you.